Hi guys, Tech here, and I wanted to do a little bit of some gem swaps, and the reason you would do the gem swaps as well as show you on screen kind of the area differences. So this is going to be specifically for Bladefall and how different gems impact the coverage and the blade detonations afterwards. So the first one was Spell Cascade with Unleash. This is Conk with Unleash. Then we're doing increased area of effect with Unleash on this next one. The other thing to note, so Power Charge on Crit is really useful while leveling before we have Disciple of the Forbidden Necanoided. And Combustion is very useful for high health mobs that don't have ads, so something like akin to Maven. That way you just get that negative fire res, which makes it that much better for your blade blast damage. It's not really for the blade fall damage, but the blade blast damage. So that is Unleash with Combustion, which is just no area of effect increase. So Spell Cascade with Combustion. So Spell Cascade is essentially casting the same thing 3 different times in unison, is kind of mechanically how that works. So Spell Cascade with increased area of effect. This is if you just want the light to off-screen stuff. That's what this is useful for. Then as far as this one is going to be, I already did that. So Conk with Spell Cascade. So this is going to be still 3 casts, but they're going to be smaller casts. And as you can see, not nearly as much off screen. It's still very good clear though. Spell Cascade just kind of gets there with filling the screen with blades. Then but it doesn't leave a lot of lingering blades. So your blade blast damage goes down based on the number of lingering blades on the ground. So that's also something to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about what to do. You want the maximum number of lingering blades, and you want the maximum number of lingering blades on your effective target. So if it's a small model, I wouldn't do Spell Cascade plus Unleash because that's going to give you too much coverage. But you could do something like Unleash plus Confiscated effect, whereas this is going to blanket the screen with a lot of blades. And you can just see it just gives you a very high raw number. The other thing specifically about the iteration between Unleash and Spell Cascade with the Helm enchant, this isn't Helm enchanted on the Helm, because I didn't want to like showcase gear that would be unreasonable to expect to have like day 1 or 2. Like this is very easy to get first couple of day gear. As most of this came first couple of days for me with this character last league. The only thing that might be a little bit tricky to get now compared to what it was last time is the influence gear. As far as the order of importance, the Shaper Ring just lets you get out of life tap. That's kind of its sole purpose, is to get you out of life tap. So we're fine. You don't need the Shaper Ring. The Flammability Ring just gives us more DPS, so it's also not necessary. And then the Hunter Belt just gives us a double life roll, which again is not necessary. But they are nice things, and those are things you should try to get, but they aren't needed. They aren't needed. There's other ways that we can work around those effects. But I hope this is helpful, and I hope this gives you a better understanding of how to use the different setups that are listed in the POE, besides just the Unleash Spell Cascade, kind of give you some different ideas of how you can play around with things. There's not a whole lot of reason I would ever use increased area of effect. Just to be straight up honest with you, there's not a lot scenarios where I would even consider it, just because Unleash is generally just better. And if you're wanting more coverage, you would just use Spell Cascade with Unleash. And if you're wanting less coverage, you would just use Consecrated Effect. with Unleash, and if you don't want any increase, you would either use Combustion or Power Charge on crit, just depending on where you're at. The other thing is, like, while leveling, you're probably not going to want to use Unleash. You're probably just going to want to use Spell Cascade with Power Charge on crit, or Unleash with Power Charge on crit, just depending on how much coverage or how much clear speed you want. If you want more concentrated damage, Unleash plus Power Charge on crit. If you're wanting to be able to hit everything on screen, Spell Cascade plus Power Charge on crit will get you there. But y'all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will catch you in Archnemesis League Exiles.